Well. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing well today. And to all my new supporters joining us, welcome to the family. I hope everybody enjoys this video today, or should I say meeting, just as much as myself, because we were all looking forward to this one right here. Highly, highly anticipated, and that is why I will not be wasting no more time. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and turn all post notifications on so you don't miss another one of these reaction videos. Now, the other day, Carney stated that he will be visiting Washington, D.C. to talk to Donald Trump, the president, the current president of the United States of America. Face to face, eye to eye. Yeah. And that time has come. So let's go ahead and check it out. The title of this video is Canada Won't Be for Sale Ever. Carney tells Trump. Interesting. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. This is like a 30-minute video, man. I'm not going to be pausing and talking too much. No.
Thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president. The focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids.
Just to start this meeting off, man, hold on. Carney is giving Trump his flowers. Trump, I hope you do the same. I hope you do the same.
And securing the world. And I've been elected with my colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here. I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl, much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic. And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move forward.
Right.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much. It's a very nice statement. I have a lot of respect for this man, and I watched him come up, in a sense, through the ranks when he wasn't given much of a chance, and he ran a really great campaign. He did a really great debate. I think the debate was very helpful. I was going to raise my hand. I don't know if that's good or bad. I shouldn't say that. That might hurt you. But no, he ran a really great election, I thought. And yeah, something could happen. Something could happen. Yeah, please.
What's the top concession you want out of Canada? The top concession you want out of Canada?
Concession?
Yes.
Friendship.
But that's not a concession.
No, we're going to be friends with Canada. Regardless of anything, we're going to be friends with Canada. Canada is a very special place to me. I know so many people that live in Canada. My parents had relatives that lived in Canada, my mother in particular. And no, I love Canada. I have a lot of respect for the Canadians. Wayne Gretzky, how good, the great one. You happen to have a very, very good hockey player right here on the Capitals, who I have a lot of. He is a big, tough cookie, too. Just broke the record. And he's a great guy. And
Forgive me if this video is cutting, skipping, or blurring out in any way. That ain't me. This is live broadcasted, and they ended up clipping it into a 22-minute video.
we had the team here, and I got to know a lot of the players. But now Canada is a very special place. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, Mr. President, I'd like to get your response to this too. Mr. President, you have said that Canada should become the 51st state.
Yeah. No. Well, I still believe that, but it takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages.
What? Canada's medical care is better than ours. What are you talking about? What? I'm trying to save the Canadians. Y'all don't need to be no 51st state. I'm trying to save y'all. I'm trying to keep your money in your pockets.
But it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said, that's the way it was meant to be. But, I do feel it's much better for Canada, but we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign.
Wait, he called the citizens of Canada the owners of Canada? My man. I like that he did that. I don't know how many people caught on to that, but I like that. The owners.
Last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. We have done that in the past, and part of that, as the president just said, is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership. And I'll say this as well, that the president has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
That's true. And they have. I must say, Canada is stepping up the military participation because Mark knew, they were low, and now they're stepping it up, and that's a very important thing. But never say never. Never say never.
They will eventually hit that 2% GDP. They will. In order to level out with NATO, Canada will eventually hit that 2% GDP. I believe in y'all. For real, for real. He keeps saying never. He's saying never, never. He say, it's possible. Just duke it out at this point.
Well, we'll be talking about different things. Look, we want to protect our automobile business, and so does Mark. But we want to make the automobiles, and we want to, we have a tremendous abundance of energy, more than any country. We have, just in Alaska alone, ANWR has been reopened now. ANWR is probably the largest find anywhere in the world. They say it's larger than Saudi Arabia. I don't know, but it's a lot.
Wow.
But we have tremendous amounts of energy. Other countries don't. We're both lucky in that way. They have energy. We have energy. We have more than we can ever use and more than we could ever sell, actually, and you have the same thing. So we're two countries that are very lucky. If you look at China, they don't have that. It's a big disadvantage. Other countries, most countries don't have. Most countries don't have that. So Canada and us, we have a lot of advantages over other places.
When you consider what Mr. Carney just said, that Canada is not for sale, does this make the discussion a little more difficult to start on?
No, not at all. No, not at all. No, time will tell. It's only time. But I say never say never. I've had many, many things that were not doable, and they ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. But if it's to everybody's benefit, Canada loves us, and we love Canada. That's, I think, the number one thing that's important. But we'll see. I mean, over time, we'll see what happens.
There's the ego.
For what pact?
USMCA.
No, it's fine. It's there. It's good. We use it for certain things. It's there. We have the USMCA is a good deal for everybody. I won't say this about Mark, but I didn't like his predecessor. I didn't like a person that worked for. She was terrible, actually. She was a terrible person. And she really hurt that deal very badly because she tried to take advantage of the deal and she didn't get away with it. You know who I'm talking about. But so, we had a bad relationship having to do with the fact that we disagreed with the way they viewed the deal, and we ended it. We ended that relationship pretty much. The USMCA is great for all countries. It's good for all countries. We do have a negotiation coming up over the next year or so to adjust it or terminate it.
Mr. President,
I'll say a word on USMCA, if I may, Mr. President. It is a basis for a broader negotiation. Some things about it are going to have to change. And part of the way you've conducted these tariffs has taken advantage of existing aspects of USMCA. So it's going to have to change. There's other elements that have come, and that's part of what we're going to discuss.
Right?
During the campaign, Prime Minister Carney talked about the American betrayal. How do you react if Canada decided not to shop in the American store as much as before and decided to partner with other countries?
Well, we don't do much business with Canada from our standpoint. They do a lot of business with us. We're at like 4%. And usually those things don't last very long. You know, we have great things, great product, the kind of product we sell, nobody else can sell.
Okay. But let's not, let's not do that, though. The Canadians were choosing to support our American franchises. So don't do that. Don't make it seem like we didn't need them and, we don't support their products and goods and we don't need to buy them because we produce the best of it all. Regardless if it's true or not. I mean, Canada's our neighbors. They're our friends. They should want to support us and we should want to support them. It's just, we're fighting ego. I'm trying not to go on a rant.
Including military. Look, we make the best military equipment in the world, and Canada buys our military equipment, which we appreciate, but we make the best military equipment in the world by far. The missiles, the submarines, everything. Everything we have is really top notch. I rebuilt our military during our last term. Stupidly, we gave some away to Afghanistan, which shouldn't have happened, but that was, I think it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. It was just very incompetent people. But if you look, the man that's now the head of our Joint Chiefs, he led the attack on ISIS for me. That's why he's the head of the Joint Chiefs. And Raisin Kane, he was unbelievable. And as you know, we defeated ISIS in 3 weeks. It was supposed to take 5 years. We did it in 3 weeks. And he ran the campaign. I said, I like him. But I knew him before. I went to Iraq, and we agreed to a plan, and that was the plan. And as you know, we did it in record time. So we have, we have the best equipment in the world. We have the best, a lot of things. And but Canada, it does a lot more business with us than we do with Canada. Yeah.
Mr. President, what changes would you like to see to the USMCA? What changes would you like to make?
We're going to work on some subtle changes, maybe. I don't even know if we're going to be dealing with USMCA. We're dealing more with concepts right now. Look, right now, we're doing trade. We have trade. They're paying a tariff on cars and steel and aluminum. And I think we have a baseline of 10% or something like that for the tariffs. But we're getting along very well. Right now, going no further, but we have an agreement. We did something with even parts. You want to discuss that, Howard, with respect to Canada, which helps Canada out?
Sure. So we've made an arrangement with the car companies that 15% of their USMCA parts are included, and then 15% of foreign parts from the manufactured suggested retail price are not tariffed to help domestic manufacturing really thrive.
So it gave them a chance to be able to build their car parts factories if they're going to. A lot of these companies already have factories, and what they have to do is just fill them out. But they're able to build them in the United States, so we gave them a pretty substantial period of time.
Just to clarify, Mr. President, is there anything the Prime Minister can say to you today
Hey, let's focus on asking the PM some questions too, please.
to change your mind on tariffing Canada?
Tariffing cars?
Tariffing Canada. Is there anything he could say to you in the course of your meetings with him today that would get you to lift tariffs on Canada?
No,
Why not?
just the way it is.
What's
Yeah.
If Canadians don't want it, we can respect that.
Sure, I would. But this is not necessarily a one-day deal. This is over a period of time they have to make that decision. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may. If respectfully, Canadians' view on this is not going to change on the 51st state. Secondly, we are the largest client of the United States in the totality of all the goods. So we are the largest client of the United States. We have a tremendous auto sector between the two of us, and the changes that made have been helpful. 50% of a car that comes from Canada is American. That's not like anywhere else in the world. And to your question about is there one thing? No, this is a bigger discussion. There are much bigger forces involved, and this will take some time and some discussions, and that's why we're here, to have those discussions, and that is represented by who's sitting around the table.
See, the conflict is, and this is very friendly. We're not. This is not going to be like we had another little blow up with somebody else. That was a much different. This is a very friendly conversation, but we want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada, and we put tariffs on cars from Canada, and at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And we, because of, past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. In other words, they have a surplus with us. And there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada's a place that will have to be able to take care of itself economically.
Yeah, it seems that since they don't want to become the 51st state, Trump is like, I'm not going to remove the tariffs, and he actually wants the U.S. to be the top provider for all these materials and goods. He doesn't want to have to rely on Canada, especially since Carney is not agreeing to that whole 51st thing. In my mind, I feel like it's an ego thing. Trump might just, he might drop all the tariffs if Carney were to be like, okay, we could be the 51st state. We could work that out. I bet you all tariffs will probably drop towards Canada. But that's not going to happen. Canada's putting up a fight. It's not going to happen. I mean, Trump wants America to be the top provider. That's what he's doing. He's trying to just push out everything that Canada's doing for us. And, yeah. He wants to be the mass manufacturer. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's just ways of going with that, But he said it blatantly, though. Give it a few more minutes. This might be a hostile argument. Or should I say a hostile conversation between the two. I don't think these two could hold their tongues much longer. It seems that PM Carney's getting a little aggravated, and especially since reporters keep favoriting President Donald Trump. I want to hear more of what the PM has to say.
I will tell you that
I get what Trump wants.
Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I mean, I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said, that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, I mean, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number. And it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, gee whiz, we love doing that. Thank you very much. We're going to have a very substantial. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, we have been watching a very lengthy Q&A session with the President of the United States and the new Prime Minister from Canada, Mark Carney, talking about a lot of issues, but I do maybe want to start where that left off, because despite the fact that the two men, and frankly the two governments and countries, particularly Canada, have been very rhetorically aggressive towards one another, particularly with regard to this trade war that is going on. At the beginning, it was extremely cordial, really almost throughout the entire thing. Then at the end, you did see and hear President Trump start to get and give more jabs, talking about the fact that the United States doesn't need Canadian goods, doesn't need to have cars from Canada. And if you can see right there, the body language from and by the Canadian Prime Minister, he was not happy.
I've realized that too.
And then
He's
the
not happy.
president ended the session.
And let him talk a little
now
bit
they're going
more.
to go behind closed doors, and we can only imagine how that conversation is going to go. I want to bring in CNN's Kevin Liptak and Paula Newton. They are both at the White House today.
I mean, Trump, he had his chance, and he had somebody representing on his side have the opportunity to speak. Now let's let Canada's PM Carney have some words, you know? And the people representing him on his side have a chance to speak as well. He's not going to be able to hold his tongue much longer, and sooner or later, they will be cutting each other off and going back and forth. And sooner or later, they might just be like, look, forget the questions the reporters are asking. They're going to be going on a debate back and forth with each other. We don't want that. This is supposed to be a calm, peaceful meeting. You know, since it's one of our first meetings, it's already hostile, man. It's already hostile.
And Paula, I do want to start with you because if I am in Canada watching my new prime minister, who got elected largely because he said, President Trump, back off, hear him say not once but twice, we're not going to be the 51st state. I can tell you right now that the Canadians spoke in this election and it's not going to happen. I'm sure they will be pleased by that, maybe less pleased by the lecture on economics that we just heard from President Trump at the end of that session.
Right.
Listen, Dana, you hit it right on the head there. The issue is here in terms of tone. Look, this was completely different, not just from what President Trump had been saying really for months, but also from the election campaign of Mark Carney. And he had a very strident campaign and had harsh words for the president. They sat there in the Oval Office, couldn't be more cordial, right? What's that issue now? Substance. And in terms of substance, these two countries remain very far apart. Just fact-checking a couple of things. In terms of the ripping off of Canada, it is true Canada gets a lot from the relationship with the United States. But the Prime Minister, Carney, tried to interject there and say, point blank, Canada is the largest purchaser of American goods.
That's right.
Period. Full stop. And that's why not too far from here on Capitol Hill, Dana, which you know all too well, there have been both Democratic and Republican politicians saying that to the White House loud and clear. Why? Because in severing that trade relationship with the United States, it will hurt both Democratic and Republican states. That's point number one. I think it is a message loud and clear to any other nation trying to do negotiations here at this White House that this president is sticking to what he thinks about these trade deals. He said, okay, sure, we've got this trade deal with Canada and Mexico. We may renegotiate it. We may abandon the trade deal. He is leaving everything on the table. And from that point of view, when you see Mark Carney there, really trying to say what he could with the body language, right? Basically saying that Donald Trump owes him in terms of the election. He got him elected, and he turned apparently and said, oh yeah, right. Listen, that is what we've been hearing from the Prime Minister's office. Make no mistake, Dana, Prime Minister Carney does respect this president. And when he says he's transformational, he means it. That does not mean there will not be collateral damage in both Canada and the United States if that's the way this relationship goes forward. Look, the expectations weren't very high in this meeting, I can tell you from Canadian officials. So far, so okay from the Oval Office. I'm sure behind closed doors things will get better. But again, no one should be under illusions here. This is going to be a very long negotiations, and both Americans themselves and American businesses should not be shocked about what happens next.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kevin, let me turn to you, and I just want to put a finer point on what Paula was saying when it comes to one of the basic fact checks about the economic and trade relationship between the U.S. and Canada. First and foremost, even this year alone, I'm told that the U.S. exports to Canada made up 17.
What was that? Did y'all hear that? That was the video. I'm so sorry. What in the world was that noise?
15% of U.S. exports. But what you're looking at there, that's 2024. These are U.S. exports to Canada. So it's the Canadians buying American goods and services, $349.4 billion. It is the highest except for the EU, which is not on this. So it is a fact that the United States benefits greatly from Canada buying the U.S. goods.
Like,
Kevin.
Canada's our top
And that's
buyer.
part of why it's so striking.
If there's anything I know about business is that You treat your customers good, especially the ones that consistently come and buy from your store and give you their money. You treat your buyers good. Your loyal customers, you better favorite them because they favored you. Canada favored us, decided let's buy materials and goods for them. Let's support their franchises and businesses. Now we're trying to not us. Now Trump is saying that we don't need them. They owe us because they've been buying from us. We've been helping them out. And he said that's not a money issue. We'll forever help Canada. But this is going to affect that relationship towards helping them. So yeah, we don't really buy much from Canada. They kind of just, support our businesses and buy from us. That's very true. But how do you think we are annually receiving this much money? How do you think we received $349.4 billion? Because Canada was purchasing our goods, supporting our businesses, coming over from the border to Buffalo, New York, going from the Canadian border to Buffalo, New York, and supporting our businesses, going shopping, food shopping, buying clothes, whatever it was. Because they simply enjoyed it, not because they needed to. They simply enjoyed it, and maybe it may be a little closer to their homes. True, just crossing the border and shopping over here in America is probably closer than having to drive far out in Canada to the next closest store. That could be possible, but it's still a fact of they're Canadians supporting a whole nother country. And this is before, this whole tariff situation. Now, they done second-guessed it. Not even second-guessed it. They done put a stamp on it and say, we're not supporting nothing from America. So, Trump, you don't really have to worry about the Canadians supporting us, and allowing us to reach our economic goals. I could say that Canada's money is definitely helping us achieve that, right? Come on now. So let's see where this goes down the line. All I know is it's a wrap. Canada ain't supporting us no more, especially after this meeting. He blatantly said we didn't need them, and they needed us, and they was our top buyers, and we send the most goods to them, and this, oh my goodness, poor Carney. I just wish he had the chance to speak a little more throughout this meeting. We're gonna be staying up to date with these meetings, man, and I kind of want to go live. I would love to go live on YouTube and watch this political and economic discussion live with you guys. But I think I'm going to start going live on Twitch, so everyone feel free to follow my Twitch down below in the description, because over there's no copyright or anything, so we could just keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Y'all want to watch it? I'll pull it up for the next video. You want to watch it? I'll pull it up on the stream, keep pulling next videos up, man, and we could just keep on going along with it. So I don't have to deal with, copyright infringement and everything over here on YouTube. And, yeah. This is crazy. You guys let me know what you think about this.
The president uses when he's talking about Canada. As you mentioned before, this meeting started relatively cordially. And in fact, when someone asked the president whether they would discuss this idea of Canada becoming the 51st American state, he tried to downplay it, saying that it wouldn't be a part of the conversation. And then he proceeded to talk at length about why he thinks it would be advantageous for Canada to become a part of the United States. And it was in a lot of ways hard for Carney to get a word in edgewise there. And you did note his body language. I was noting particularly when the president was going after, he didn't name her, but Chrystia Freeland, the former finance minister, saying that she was a terrible negotiator, talking about this experience.
He name dropped? Trump ain't name dropped. This reporter did. This news reporter name dropped. My man.
Negotiating the USMCA, he kind of had a pained look on his face. If I can do this, I would like to pull out one more, I think, important piece of news out of this meeting, which is what the president said at the very, very beginning when it comes to the Houthi rebels in Yemen. He says that they, in his words, have capitulated. He says that they don't want to fight anymore. He says that they've agreed to stop blowing up ships. And in the president's words, he's accepting the Houthis at their words, and that the U.S. will end this bombing campaign that had been ongoing since March 15th. So I guess 52 days that this bombing has been ongoing, trying to decimate that Iran-backed rebel group. Now the president saying that there is some sort of agreement to end the tensions, and we are getting some reporting in about exactly what's happening here. We understand that Steve Witkoff, the president's foreign envoy, worked through the Omanis. Remember, that's the Gulf state nation that the U.S. is also working with to try and negotiate a new deal with Iran, to come to this arrangement to end the strikes on the Houthi rebels in Yemen. In a lot of ways, this campaign by the Americans has been tough going. You know, the Houthis have still been able to shoot down 7 multi-million-dollar drones. There was that incident last week when the Houthis fired on the USS Harry Truman in the Red Sea. It had to turn so hard that a fighter jet fell off the ship. So this campaign had been tough going in a lot of ways, and now the president announcing that there could be an agreement to bring it to an end. I think 2 big questions here is, one, does this create momentum for a broader deal with Iran that the president has been pushing for? And 2, does this agreement include a ceasefire with Israel, which just today had been targeting, you know, the main airport in Yemen? That had been in retaliation for the Houthis striking the main airport in Israel. So a lot of questions.
I'm so glad. I'm sorry I had to cut him off. I'm so glad. I'm sorry. I had to say this. I'm so glad that he decided to take it upon himself and just, you know, explain this last theory he had on his mind towards Trump's plan. Yes, I'm glad he decided to speak out about this. Especially since I don't have to go on a big rant about it now, because, oh, that was coming next. That was coming next, and y'all was going to be like, blah, blah, blah. Be quiet, man. Or maybe not, actually, because this is important. If you're saying blah, 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 be quiet, then I don't think this is the video for you. I don't think this is the topic of discussion for you. And that's okay. A lot of people are not with the politics and economic issues going on in this world, but hey, we are living in this world. We need to get with it. We need to educate ourselves. I'm glad, so glad this man right here decided to speak about this topic. Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, because I was going to go on a rant about it.
Questions there. What I think is a significant announcement from the president at the start of this meeting.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Kevin. It is true.
Yes.
It is a big announcement. And he, in his inimitable way, teased the fact that there could be a different announcement on a different deal in the coming days, not about trade. He made that very clear. So the other potential areas in which there could be a deal point to the Middle East. So that kind of speaks to what you were just wondering, whether what he announced on the Houthis could maybe pave the way for something else.
Well, I think we all can agree when I say that this first meeting between Canada's PM, Mark Carney, and the United States' current president, Donald J. Trump, did not go as planned. It did not go as planned at all, and I was hoping to hear some more words out of Carney's mouth and, you know, the people representing him on his side, but I guess not. Maybe we could expect something different. Hope for the better in the next discussion they have. This was a letdown. Yeah, this was a big letdown. This was a big letdown. I'm very unsatisfied with how this meeting went. And I know you guys can say the same, and I know you guys feel the same way. Please feel free to let me know in the comments down below how you feel overall about this whole situation, and most importantly, how you feel about this first meeting between Carney and President Trump. Do you feel that this could have gone completely different and that Carney should have had the opportunity to speak some more? Especially the people representing him, you know, at least one person should have had the chance to say something as well to back Carney up, but I guess not. Towards the end, it seems that Trump kind of just cut him off. He didn't even look at Carney. Same with the handshake. Eye contact is everything with me. He didn't even look at Carney with the handshake. And he kind of cut him off towards the end and didn't let him get a few words in before cutting to this next segment with these reporters. So I feel like he kind of downplayed Carney and he kind of downplayed Canada. Kinda? Not kinda. He downplayed Canada as well, and that's how I feel at heart. So I feel bad for you guys, honestly. I feel bad for Carney. He's a cool man. Cool, innocent man, honestly. He's not in this to harm anybody. He's not in this to harm anybody. He's just trying to do fair, good business, and it's not really going as planned. Everyone, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and turn all post notifications on so you don't miss another one of these reaction videos, especially on topics like this. Feel free to share this video and this channel to your friends and family members, whoever you feel may be interested in joining us along on a daily basis to check out some of these intriguing educational videos, especially like this. And feel free to spam my comment section and use that suggestion link down below in my description if you would like to have the opportunity to recommend some more of these phenomenal videos for me myself to react to. Once again, thank you so much everyone for choosing me to watch today and for joining me to watch this first meeting between Canada's PM Mark Carney and the United States current President Donald J. Trump. Don't forget to let me know how you felt about this meeting overall down below in the comment section, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay safe. I'm looking forward towards the next meeting. Oh my goodness. We need it now.